Okay, well, I think it's 11 o'clock and I think we're live. And I know that I'm Joy Heiler. So, coming to you live from my kitchen. I officially call this my studio as well. And as promised today, we're going to be doing bronzer, blush, and translucent powder. So, I came to you with just foundation on so that I can demonstrate to you how I do it. There's a whole lot of methods that you can look it up on YouTube. You can figure it out for yourself how to do it. I'm just going to show you how I do it because I'm usually not spending that much time on my makeup. I like to wear a lot of makeup. I just don't spend that much time on it. I don't really micromanage every detail of my makeup. And I know that a lot of gals do spend, an hour and a half putting the blush where it goes, putting highlighter on. This is just foundation. This is just Arbonne's Mineral Foundation. And then I always use the same blush. Kayleen, my girlfriend, is an image consultant up in Portland, and she also does Arbonne. So hats off to Kayleen. We love her so much. And she did my whole makeover thingy, a couple years ago. And she said that this is the best blush color on the entire planet, and everyone should wear it. So Taffeta is the name of this blush. This is I don't even know that it's the appropriate brush for the blush, but this is the one that I use. And it's a flat brush, and I like the way it scrubs the blush into my skin. So what I do is I load my brush. Now, what you want to know about powder, powder in a brush is that you want to set the powder. So just tamp the end of, like this, and set your powder into your brush. Otherwise, it's going to fly all over the place. So then what I do is I just start on my cheekbone and I just make a nice big stripe, just like this. And I go up into my temple here, and always take your powders into your hairline, okay? It's important to take it into your hairline because you don't want that demarcation. So I always make sure I have plenty on my little apple, right here. A lot of gals suck their lips in and do all that stuff, but I don't do any of that, okay? So I just make a stripe. So again, load the brush, tap, 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 and boom, here we go. So I will tell you all about Arbonne blush and our powders, all of our pressed powders. A lot of gals will reapply as the day goes. You don't want to get this too close to your eye. You want to leave this blush, as a rule, is just about a finger below your eye, okay? So blush doesn't really go up here. It goes right here, in my opinion. I mean, everybody's entitled, to their own opinion. And I just scrub in a big, huge stripe into my hairline, into the temple. Make sure. It's important to wash your brushes as you go. I mean, I don't wash them as often as, I don't know what they recommend. I honestly don't know. I'm just always afraid I'm not going to be able to get them dry. So sometimes I'll just do them on a washcloth or a sanitized, the wipies or something, and I'll just take some of the powder out like that. So I think it's good to keep your brushes clean because you do not want fungus on your face. Face fungus has never been good, and it's not ever going to be. Okay, so this is called a kabuki brush. It has fuzz in it. So kabuki, I think, just means big. And I use this as my powder brush, as my highlighting brush. I use this kabuki for foundation. I just love this kabuki. I like how, and Arbonne sells all the brushes as well. We don't manufacture them, but we do sell them. So I like this kabuki because it's nice and I can scrub the powders in. So again, this is Arbonne bronzer. I buy, I think 2 of these a year. Sometimes I go into a third one. This is how long it lasts. Maybe 2 or 3, not even 3 a year is what I go through, and I load it up, baby. So I want to explain a little bit of something to you about the powders. So let me show you where I bronze first, and then I'll explain to you about Arbonne powders and what makes ours different. So I load up the brush. Again, you want to set your powder. See how the ends of my brushes? Sometimes I get them all beat up because I pound them. So the very first thing that I do is I start right up here and I scrub. And I put color right here. From my eyebrow up into my hairline, I just fill all this in. And I don't go any further in than right here. I try to leave about a brush stroke to the end of my eyebrow. And someday we'll talk about my eyebrows and the eyebrow stuff that Arbonne has, because mine are tattooed on. That's why they're perfect every single day. And but Arbonne does have some products that we can use. You know, if you want to do your eyebrows. Eyebrows are the next biggest thing. So that's what I do for bronzer at my the top of my forehead. So I just scrub it in as fast as I can. I always go into my temple. Okay. Then I load my brush again and I go in here. Okay. Always back to my ear. Always back to my ear. The rule of thumb with blush and bronzer, in my opinion, is it doesn't come in any further than the pupil in your eye. You want to leave it on the outside of your face because you want the inside of your face to highlight the lighter. You know, you want to create all your definition on the outside. So once again, load this. Make sure I'm getting it up. And then I do my neck. Okay, the worst possible thing, in my opinion, is to, number one, have foundation that doesn't match. I think that's terrible that foundation doesn't match. And I'll do a whole segment on foundation. And the other thing is that when your face is a different color than your neck and your décolleté, if I didn't have this little stripy stuff right here, I would just run the blush right down onto my décolleté as well. Because my hair, I have my big Texas hair on today, my big sticky uppy hairdo, I'm going to make sure that I bronze around in here too. I don't think the mortar and the rocks is going to care today. However, if I was going to be out in public, I would make sure that I had my neck and, you know, everything all bronzed so it didn't have demarcations in it. So again, I just scrub. Make sure that I get it all. Okay, so now that I have all that, can you see the difference than when we started and I just had a totally white face? That's all the effort that I make. And like I said, y'all can spend, 6 hours if you want doing your makeup. I got to get going. I got stuff to do. That's the last thing I want to do is super, like mess around. Now, sometimes I go, oh, did I get it enough in here? Did I get enough? And then I'll look at it like this and I'll go, I should probably blend that in a little bit. Oh, okay, I'll probably just blend that around a little bit. And then we have translucent finishing powder. I always finish my whole entire thing with translucent finishing powder. And I load the same kabuki that I use for everything else. Once again, set your powder. And then I go right down the middle and I catch the edges of what I just did. I always avoid that because I don't want that to be all clogged up with powder. And I just go right down the middle. Kind of catch the edges in just a little bit. Now, if I was going to do a highlighter powder, I would put it, right up here. And you can do that if you want to. If I'm going out, Donnie and I are going on a date or weddings or things like that, I take the time to do the highlighter and to figure out where it goes and all that. Some days when I'm doing my makeup, what I'll do is I'll just take my, the eyeshadow brush that I used, and I'll just run a real quick, highlight on top of my cheekbones and call that highlighter. I'm famous for that. Little dot on my nose, just a little dot right here on the bow. Boom, I call that highlighter. So, and it's not that I don't know how to, I just don't really feel like doing it. So here's what I want to tell you about what makes the difference of Arbonne powders and other powders. Now this afternoon, I'm going to go out and I'm going to do the rocks and the mortar. I'm working on my fireplace today. And I'm going to come back in and my face will probably look exactly like it does now because the colors, the vibrancy of the colors stay the same. I've gone hours, we did the all-night grad party with the kids, when the kid I've done it 3 times now, just like Annette, and 3 or 4 times. Annette has done it 4 times. So we have to be up all night, right? Well, the funniest part was that my makeup looked the same because I put it on the morning the kids graduated, then went all day, all night, and the next morning I had to go to my greeter meeting for the Chamber of Commerce, and I looked the same. I was haggard and tired, but nothing about my makeup had changed. It just kind of blends into the skin. And the reason why it does that is because Do you know the mineral? I think it's called a mineral. Do you know the term mica? So it would be a rock, you know, the rock mica. And we used to play with it when we were kids. I had some out in my yard, in my rock garden, and I actually rooted around in there and I couldn't find it to show you. So what Arbonne does with mica, because it's the clear sheets of stuff. You would have, as a kid, you probably would have peeled the layers apart and noticed how soft it was. And it's an incredible little thing. If you ever have a chance, you might even just want to Google it and look at mica because it's clear. So Arbonne takes mica, grinds it all up into an extremely fine powder, puts the pigment that the color they want it to be in, and now they have the pigment, which is all botanical as well. Remember, we don't use any animal byproducts or chemicals or petroleum or any of that. So the pigment and now the ground up mica is in a powder form. So in order for Arbonne to get it into a solid form like this, they actually press it with aloe vera and cucumber, okay? And that's the reason why it just marries into your skin and it just continuously just looks better as the day goes on. Now, the other companies that do pressed powders, it happens with your eyeshadow, it happens with all your bronzers and everything, is that they use like baby powder, you know, like a talc to start. So it's white. So when you put it on your face, now you have to overcome the white before you really start to get a pigment. You know, the true pigment is going to show, but it's going to go back to white. The pigment is actually going to fade and it goes back to white, which is why a lot of gals have to refresh their makeup as the day goes on, is because it fades. It just turns back to white. Now y'all look the same. You got to redo it. So the other cosmetic companies press their powders with mineral oil. So it makes it oily. Well, not only do you not need the additional oil in your skin, if you have a skin like mine, you want to keep the grease off, right? So you don't need the animal byproducts, you don't need the oil, and it will have the proclivity to crease. So you're going to have creases it's going to settle into the lines on your face if you have them. It's going to settle into the crease in your eyes, you know, your eyelids. And that's because of the mineral oil, okay? It doesn't really marry with your body. It just sits on top of the surface of the skin and kind of makes you look greasy. So that is the reason why Arbonne is so magnificent. Again, mica. Here's another thing. I mentioned this yesterday. So in our translucent pressed powder, we have this in pressed and in loose, either one, and it has a little shimmer. So if you were to see me out in the sun, you would see a little shimmer, which I like, just a little bit of shimmer. I don't really want to go out and glow, but I like the shimmer. So Arbonne does not use ground up fish scales for their shimmer. Remember I told you guys that yesterday, and I told you I would tell you again, no ground up fish scales in Arbonne, okay? And some people may not be opposed to that. I don't really want ground up fish scales on my eyes. I don't know, I'm just saying. Okay, so let me check my list. I think I got everything for you. What do y'all think? Did I do all right? It's not bad for a quickie job, is it? You can tell me in your comments what you think. And then let me see, for your boredom buster for today, the boredom buster that I have for you is turn off your TV. That would help you a lot if you weren't actually seeing what they're talking about on the TV. Turn off your TV and eat at the dining room table. Now, how cool would it be if you sat at your dining room table and you put out the bowls with the food in it and everyone went around the table and served themselves the food, and you sat at the dining room table and talked and nobody had their phones and you were just old school in it at the dining room table? How freaking cool would that be? So that's what I recommend for you for your boredom buster for the day, is set your table, eat at your table, enjoy your family, stay active. It's important to be outside and get the fresh air. Remember, that's our first line of defense, is fresh air and sunshine and lots of water. Take care of yourself. Next week, this is going to be amazing, absolutely amazing. Next week is going to be acne, eyeshadow, and detox tea. So at happy hour today, at 5 o'clock, either at 4:20 or at 5, I'm never really sure how much mortar and rock I'm going to get done. So the detox tea is real important. If you've had a whole lot of happy hour, then you need some detox tea. So I'm going to talk about that next week, acne and eyeshadow. And we'll talk more about the mica, and I'll probably actually put some on for you too. If you guys want that, I'll put some eyeshadow on for you. So I love you guys so much. Thanks so much for joining me live today. You can still see this in my story if you want to. If you saw any of the products that you wanted to get today, you can go to joyheiler.arbonne.com and you can order for yourself. If you can order on Amazon, you can order on Arbonne. Super simple, and you can get a discount. You can also call me and I'll give you a discount too, but you can just go to the Arbonne website and get stuff. So I love you guys so much. Thanks again for joining me. I hope you enjoyed it. And like I said, I love feedback. So if you don't mind telling me in your comments that you enjoyed it or that you think I'm a hag or whatever you want to do, just let me know. All right. I love you guys. Bye.